Josh, I remember my very first day in a estate agency, and I walked through the door. I was 17 years of age, and the boss of the particular business turned around to me and said, "Peter, we've just entered into a really tough market." I had no idea what he was talking about. I had no idea what a good market was, a tough market was, or any market. It was my first day in the business. And since that day, I've experienced, as you have, many different market conditions, ranging from whatever it is you call good to whatever it is you call tough. What do you see as being the response to when you go into a tougher market? What are the formulas? What are the things that you advise your clients to do? What actions do you suggest they take when things start to get tougher?
I think the most important thing is to think about three motivations: the owner motivation, the agent motivation, and the buyer or tenant motivation. And for a great market, all three have to have that level of motivation. Sometimes we find, believe it or not, there's an owner and a buyer or a tenant who's got motivation, but there's no agent motivation. And so they're actually not there to facilitate the transaction that's on the table. But yet when a market changes, you often find that the agent motivation is quite high, but the buyer motivation is a bit lower, or all of a sudden we're in a position that the owner's motivations are a bit lower because they can't find anything to move into, or maybe they're also feeling that they don't want to sell or to let the property out at today's current market rate. The role is about understanding that births, deaths, marriages and divorces, job relocations and financial loss and financial gain happen in every market. And really the most important thing is to consider what is actually forcing the market into its current position today. And therefore, if there is too much supply, then how does a buyer or tenant justify paying that particular price? That comes back to the old 3 Ps that we've spoken about before, Peter, around promotion and pricing and positioning. And so that if we can do all of those things correct and get the property right, then we will actually allow it to sell or to let at a much higher price point. When a property is online, if it doesn't look good, then people aren't going to make the decision to pursue it. So it is really important that we understand that people actually buy the uncomplicated life. So if they walk through a property and it feels uncomplicated, they'll pay a much higher sale price or pay a much higher rental price than any other property that's currently on the market.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're seeing in varying market conditions, and we've got, as I'm sure you have in Australia, to take a national view is almost always wrong. The average doesn't exist. So a market in one location is very different to a market in another location. But what is true is that all locations have at some point experienced good times and tough times. So as you actually get into that tough marketplace, what would be the 3 things that you would do if you were an agency owner and you're working with a team? You know, where interest rates, let's say, are going to be rising. And you know, the consequences, affordability is going to fall, and more importantly, maybe confidence is going to fall around the piece. What would be the 3 key actions that you would take with your team?
Number 1, stick to the basics. Who's on our seller hit list? Who's on our buyer hit list? Who's on our tenant hit list? Who are the people that have to make a move because something else is forcing the decision? I think that's critical. Number 2, everything is about relationships. So you need to be in a position that you're doing more face-to-face than anyone else and no more individual appointments. We must make sure that there are a minimum of 2 people at every appointment so that people actually drive that feeling of competition. The third component, without a doubt, is understand the market dynamics of the day and know when to act. So if there actually is a great offer that's on the table, know how to deliver that in a way so that the consumer can make that decision to proceed with that particular offer.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Josh.